has begun. Vampires fought back in super real 3D.
Hey guys, so I've been making videos for over 22 years now for all kinds of different clients, all kinds of different projects. And something that almost always gets me an audible wow from the client there on set is such a simple thing. And it's like a sure shot that I can go to. If I don't feel like we're driving or they're not trusting me enough on set or something, or they're second guessing me too much, I go to this and then they see that and then they're like, wow. And then they don't second guess what I do after that. Use a long lens, like substantially long. A 135 millimeter is almost magical when somebody looks through it. So sometimes you gotta get far away to get the shot you really want. So, let's see what we got. Booyah. Exposure of the phone. Well, you see the final image when I put it in the video. But anyway, I mean, that's how you get 135 millimeter lens. You know, open some elephant doors. That's what you gotta do. They've never come close to achieving that look that's being produced on their phone. They just can't do it because they don't have a large enough sensor. They don't have a long enough lens that can attach to the phone camera. It feels completely different. There's this level of professionalism that they immediately see when they're looking through your monitor and see this super long lensed shot where it's either hyper detailed or super compressed. I'm like, wow. And once that happens, it really is a different dynamic with your client. If they're a new client and you're trying to like establish some kind of, level of professionalism, so they're going to trust everything that you say and go more with the flow, so that's less of a hiccup. This is like a go-to thing that you can do, and you don't have to have like an amazingly expensive lens to do it. In fact, I have a Canon 70 to 200 millimeter that wasn't cheap, but in this last shoot that I was just doing in Vegas, I was filming oftentimes with my 135 millimeter Rokinon, and I got it on closeout sale because they don't even make this older version that's considered to be too soft. I got this thing for like $135. I got it for like the same price as the millimeter length that it is, which was, I thought, insane. And I was like, man, is this kind of like a cheap, crappy lens? Well, if it's $130, at least I'll have that focal length as a prime. And I went for it, I got it. And this thing beats out my 70 to 200 millimeter often. Now, that being said, you can totally use a 70 to 200 millimeter and it looks great. And once you get past that 100 millimeter threshold, like somewhere around like 120, something really magical starts to happen. And you know it if you've experienced it, but you need to show your client that. Go ahead and pop off a long lens shot so they just see that you've got equipment and sophistication to produce something that they simply have no accessibility to do. Now, the aperture does matter, but keep in mind, the longer the focal length, the more shallow depth of field that you automatically get. I do prefer lenses in general that go below an f4 if you want to get that magic, but it doesn't necessarily have to be set at that aperture, because once you get past that 120 millimeter range, it's already getting kind of shallow. So you're gonna get that look regardless. So if you've only got an f4 lens that does that long of a focal length, that can still work. You can look online, you can find like a cheap older prime that crosses that 100 millimeter threshold. Once you put it on, you're gonna be like, wow. And this is without even talking about lights or anything. So this is like that 200 millimeter look. Gotta get super far away for a full body wide. That 200 millimeter look is the magic zone that you can't get on a phone. I mean, it's just always good. Longer lenses immediately take stuff and make it look cinematic. But you can still use the environment. There's a way to cheat a bad environment, but you can still show the environment and use it as part of the scene if you get far enough back. It's just very, very different to be up close and then use a wide lens for your wide shot, rather than getting super far away and getting on a long lens to do that wide shot. And they're all good, but this feels more different than most of what you'll find in the majority of edits, because you don't usually think to use a long lens on an interior environment. Even when it's large, it's not the first thing that you think of. So it's like a good little trick to keep in mind. If you have a really big space and it's interior, get super far away, put on a long lens for a wide shot, and you'll have a really unique little shot that can go into your edit. There's a second thing that ensures that wow factor to happen. You don't have to have this, but it really, really does make a difference. If you have an external monitor mounted to your camera. Now, if you've got a camera, you got your monitor, you think that you're gold, but having a larger monitor, even like a 5-inch, it really is very different than the monitor that comes stock on the majority of cameras. Now, the Blackmagic cameras might be exceptions to that. I personally haven't used the Blackmagic cameras, but notoriously their monitors are a bit larger. They're just a little bit more like a video monitor. So that's very cool. If you've got that already going on, awesome. But if you're not in that camp, like me, I use Canons and Reds. Having a larger monitor really seals the deal. And also when you're showing the client, if they come over to watch, get all that display info off of there. Don't have the aperture up and the ISO and all that. Just literally remove all of that stuff. Have a blank, ultimately blank screen that's 5 to 7 inches big with the long lens. You're done, man. I mean, like, you're not done. I mean, there's a lot more to do, but I am telling you, almost every time, almost every shoot, even for repeat clients, they come over. If I have that combo going on, like 135 millimeter or more, whether it's on the 7200 or whatnot, and it is on a monitor with no display info up on it that's big enough, almost always in my ear, wow. I'm telling you, like that does it. You can get that to happen with a wide lens. You absolutely can, but it is harder. And then the environment needs to lend itself to that. And even more so if it's a wider shot, you really want to have a bigger monitor because it's harder to really take note of the magnificence of your shot on a small monitor with a bunch of data up on it. That's a wide shot and everything in it looks tiny, like the subjects look tiny or the product looks tiny. In general, for product photography, you do want to use most of the times a longer lens anyway, because it's going to make the item, the product, bigger in the shot versus getting right up on it with a wide lens. It can kind of distort what the product feels and looks like. There is distortion technically with a longer lens, but it kind of brings things more to the forward and makes things look in a way more solid and blocky, and that can oftentimes help just solidify edges and stuff. So a longer lens with products, that's good too. But what I was really trying to get at was if they feel that sensation, if they audibly say that, then when you're editing later on the back end, it gives you more leverage that should you figure out a way to expand the project via the editing, like you come up with more ideas for more edits, or the edit should be expanded, or whatever it is that kind of expands the budget of what you would like to talk to the client about expanding on without necessarily showing them what you're working on. That confidence level that they had that day in you really does carry over. It gives you more leverage where they'll take more risk because it seems like you know what you're doing. And I'm just telling you flat out that with a wider lens, you can absolutely achieve that, but it is harder. It happens less frequently because until it gets up on the big screen, on the small screens, it's just harder to get them to really get that sensation going. And also with the wide lens, that is more the sensation that they are used to achieving themselves with their phones. Hello?
Hey, Ash. Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy, what's up?
Hey, the reason I was calling is I was talking with my wife last night. We were looking at my phone, and I was using the camera to take a picture of my niece's friend's daughter. And when I was cycling through it, I saw that in the video option that this new phone, it actually does 4G. It can do video in 4G.
I think you mean 4K?
What's the difference? Well, yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's significantly bigger than HD footage.
The big resolution.
Right.
Well, it does it.
Okay.
Like your camera does.
Well, not exactly like my cameras.
And then when I said that out loud, my niece's daughter's nephew's uncle was actually coming in with the groceries. He said that his phone can film in 4G.
4K is not the same across all mediums. Different cameras, you can offer 4K, but it can actually kind of be a pretty weak.
I don't mean to toot my own horn or anything, but I got like 15 hearts the other day on Instagram for this photo I took of my nose. Yeah, I was just like, it had a big pimple on it, and I went ahead and took a photo of my nose. I got 15 hearts on that.
Okay.
And I mean, it looked pretty ugly. I mean, it was amazing the detail that's in these phones.
Right.
Well, with my daughter's wedding coming up, I just started thinking, we've got so many people coming. These are like $1,000 a piece phones. There's probably going to be $50,000 worth of cameras already at my daughter's wedding without even hiring somebody. And if I could just get them to send me all their stuff, then we'd have more than we'd know what to do with already. So I just don't know, if maybe we'd get you to edit it.
It kind of would end up being more complicated to edit. Like I'd actually probably have to charge more if you gave me such an abundance of different codecs and footage to deal with.
I need to cancel, but I wish the best of luck to you in that. I'm sure this kind of thing won't keep happening, right? I'm sorry. Well, good luck with your business, and I appreciate the effort that you were gonna put in. And anyway, please do cancel our contract. Bye-bye.
I'm not saying that what you're producing isn't better, but it's more in the wheelhouse of what they're used to experiencing, because everybody has impressed themselves with their own photos at this point on their phones. It doesn't mean that you can't do better, but they already think it's one of those things where you're not comparing side by side. And so because of that, in their headspace, they're thinking that they have something that might rival what you're doing. I mean, this is it. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is true. It's like, unless you're seeing it side by side, they've already got a picture that they're potentially satisfied enough with, and they're hiring a professional to do something that they can't achieve. And the long lens guarantees it right out of the gate. They just experience it. You can still get your wide shots and all that stuff, but this just gets it there faster. So on the back end, that kind of confidence, I always like to get wows from my clients on set as often as I can, because it does give me more leverage and negotiating room to expand their projects later. And all this is in a good-hearted effort. It's not like I'm taking advantage of anything. It just gives them the confidence to trust me that when I say there is enough here to do more, or like I've got an idea here that's really jiving, I'd like to pursue it, but it's going to require another week of editing, something like that. I oftentimes can instigate that to happen. Now, obviously, if you have a portfolio with a lot of great content, that helps a lot too. And I can't separate myself from that at this point because I have so many pieces. But at the same token, I have a bar that I have to hit. If they've already seen my professional work on my website, I have to deliver that level or more on set. That long lens just makes them, it's like, oh, this is what I hired him for. He really knows his stuff. And I'm not even talking about lighting yet. So anyway, good luck with that. I recommend getting a long lens. If you don't have one in your arsenal, really go get one. You can get a used older one. You can get a different offering. It can be a manual lens. Like I said, this 135 that I got for $135, manual, cine-modded, or I say modded, it's provided by Rokinon as a cine lens, but nonetheless, it's just really a rehoused photo lens that they do. Anyway, I hope that helps you. Think about it. Tell me if you feel the same. Tell me if you've experienced the same. Feel free to comment in the comments. Don't necessarily go on a tangent of things that I didn't mention that can do that. I'm just giving an immediate, easy cheat code that you can hop into and let your client see that, because it really does make a difference. All right, guys, I hope to catch you on other videos where I talk about editing and camera tips and gear in general. And I'll catch you around. Take care. Bye.
Movie voice.